Hi, thank you so much for joining me. This is Nora from Dr. Alba Plants. If this is your first time, I want to welcome you. And if you're returning, thank you so much for coming back and checking out another one of my videos. So I did promise a video looking at what is going on in my Hobonichi cousin, and that's exactly what it's going to be. However, I want to premise this video by kind of posing this question of when do you repurpose a planner? When do you decide that perhaps the original intention that you had in the beginning of the year with your planner has now changed? So I'm going to answer that and talk about kind of the things that I went through. So right now, this is what I have. I have a personal rings, which is the Alizan, and I did an unboxing of this one very recently. And this is what I'm using right now, where everything is in here, meaning my whole life is in here, work and personal. And then this is my Hobonichi cousin. And initially I wanted a book bound planner. And as time went on, I started to notice some overlap because in the beginning of the year, I was mostly using my cousin and not my rings. And there's pros and cons to book bounds, of course. The pro being that, of course, you have everything in one place. You don't have papers everywhere. You don't have to worry about storage or anything as far as like where to keep your inserts and whatnot in comparison to a ring planner. But the disadvantage that I felt was that you're kind of stuck to that system. Like you have to really embrace that system. Whereas rings here, you can implement whatever you want, switch them out. And I actually find a lot of joy in that. You feel almost like you have a new planner whenever you feel like refreshing the guts, meaning all the inserts, right? If there's a daily planner that's not working for you and you feel like switching it up, you do that. And whatever other inserts you want to do, maybe you want to add a section, maybe you want to do finance, things change. And so this type of system, of course, is so flexible. It really lends itself for any of those life changes you might have. Whereas something like this may cause that you have to add an additional planner, right? So anyhow, I'm going to open her up. This I recently also did an unboxing of this beautiful Vanderspec of VDS, the Stardust that I have here. This is the A5 Codex, which is going to be not a ring planner. So I'll give you a little an update on this. Initially in my last video, if you saw this and I tried to put this inside this cover, I realized that the cover that I had before was a little bit too big, and I was really sad. Some of you gave me some really great feedback telling me, or just some advice about, hey, try, maybe cutting in. I really didn't want to do that because I really love and cherish that cover. But I did announce in the last video that I had a Midori color cover, and sure enough, some sweet friends wrote to me and said, try it, do it. So I did. And this is it. It's slimmer. I was still able to keep the beautiful sterling ink vellum that I love and adore. I believe this one's back from like November. And I have, ever since I put this on, I have not been able to take it off because I love it. And what I still did is I cut just a little bit back here, but because it was a Midori, this one's not so straight, but this one came out way better. Once I kind of messed that up, then I knew what to do down here. And I just needed just a little bit, okay, just so that the leather wouldn't get, I don't want to say ruined, but maybe over a period of time, because it's a really lovely leather and it's a soft leather, I just didn't want to, maybe if you look over here, as I get it closer, you'll see that perhaps with time, this could have been maybe pulled up to the top a little bit and kind of interrupted or even looked somewhat managed. I didn't want anything to happen to it. So with that said, I went ahead and I did that. Now it fits in just fine, no issues. And this is the way she closes now. The other thing I was going to tell you, when doing a book bound, granted, I'm not really here to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of book bounds versus rings, but that in a way did influence the direction I took the Hobonichi cousin, is that, as you can see, I'm in April and things are still getting pretty thick here. The advantage, I would say, with a ring planner is if you don't want it to look as thick as it's getting because you're doing so much, you can take inserts out and thin it up, make it really thin or bulk it up however you want. Something like this, as time goes by, it's going to just get thicker and thicker. So that's something else to consider. Like I'm only up to here because I'm actually only using my weeklies and it's getting a little thicker. So that's something else to consider. Luckily with this cover, I will have definitely some room for it to thicken up. So that's great. But that's something else to just kind of have in the back of your mind as you maybe you're debating book bound versus a ring planner. So I haven't done anything with the pockets because of the direction that I took my Hobonichi cousin. I really just wanted the cover just to kind of keep it as a nice little home for the Hobonichi cousin. And I really love this one, as I said in my unboxing of this video. I'm sorry, of this cover, the codex. Okay, so when I first started the planner, I set it up, you know, I put the sterling ink and everything on here for all the different covers. This is exclusive, of course, for the cousin. And then I had intentions of using these trackers, but it just didn't really happen. I hate to say it. And so this is just left empty. Um, I think I've observed that I'm the kind of person that when I get a planner and if I see a vision, like I can see myself how I'm going to use it, I know it's a go. Honestly, when I saw these, because I was using some trackers and I didn't even finish setting this up, by the way. But anyways, I'm just being really transparent. I didn't even finish setting that up. I need to do that. But I realized I wasn't even going to use them. And I think it's wonderful if you do want to use and keep everything in here. But I had my rings at that moment and I was doing a monthly tracker. So that's the biggest issue I think I felt. I've changed directions when I started my Hobonichi Cousin with the full intentions of using it as a main planner, but then realizing the flexibility that I found in rings. And then as a result, I saw overlap. And every time I would look and open the cousin, I would look at the cousin and open it. I mean, I realized, wait a minute, that's in my rings already. So this is a section that I found in my rings. And I know this could probably be repurposed, but I really just want to keep things very simple. I do kind of have a hectic life, as we all do. And I really sometimes don't have time to sit hours and whatnot and write and do things. Okay, so this is my monthly view when I initially started trying to use this as my main planner. So I did fill these out. I kind of played a little bit with a sidebar and everything, doing like a weekly highlight. But then again, I found out that there was some overlap even between what I was doing here and some of the journaling I was doing. And I think it's wonderful to journal, but then the question becomes, when is journaling becoming too repetitive and too much? And first of all, I want to say, if you love repeating information and rewriting it, that's wonderful for journaling, but that's not really what I like to do personally. I don't mind rewriting tasks because that helps me to remember them. But when it comes to journaling, I really don't want to journal about the same thing over and over in a bunch of different books, but that's my personal opinion. Again, if you have a journal that's just for faith, exclusively for faith, one for, you know, a motherhood, that's perfect. And I've had some of those systems before and they worked out really, really well. But right now I'm at the point where I just want the gist of my day and just to kind of write it down. Okay, so this was on February and I set up March here, but then April, I haven't done anything to it because this is around the time when I realized, okay, this is wonderful, but I feel like my rings they're going to serve me a little better. I think some of the issues that I had with the cousin, believe it or not, is aesthetics too, with like the red and everything. And I know you can get, you know, cover stickers to cover the dates and everything. But I think the question becomes, how much time do you want to invest in a planner? Sadly but true, the question for when I answered that was not a lot, meaning in this planner, I've enjoyed using, after looking at this since January when I started, I really enjoyed using the weekly, hourly views. I've attempted to use the dailies, and I'll show you a couple of them here, but you can see they're pretty empty, and I'm not trying to hide anything. I mean, it is what it is. This is when I was trying to journal in it, but then it came a moment when I was trying to, let me see if I can find them, do some daily planning in here as such. And this was wonderful, but honestly, what frustrated me, and I understand if you have that creative outlet, this is perfect for you. For me, it just became a little bit too much because I had to rewrite the hours. I had to create these different sections. And then again, the issue became I was writing a gratitude here, which was definitely like a little journal entry, you can say. But then I was also doing some journaling elsewhere. And again, is that whole repetitive? And so as much as personally I wanted to use all the systems, it came to the point where it's just not serving me. And I think it goes back to, is the planner serving you or are you serving the planner? And many times I think I was serving the planner, you know, kind of wanting to use everything. But then once I finally came to peace that it's okay to have empty pages, they're empty and it's okay. This is March. And it took me a while to get to that. I had a lot of guilt, but in reality, the planner's not going to get mad at you. No, you know, no one's going to hold you accountable. So for me, it was more, this is totally personal, this issue where I'm the only one holding myself accountable to a planner. And honestly, there were days that I'd rather spend time with my family than fill up a whole entire daily page to journal. And that's when I started to realize, okay, these daily pages are not really working for journaling because it was just a little bit too much for me per day. I know we can split this in half. That's a wonderful idea. And then there's daily planning, right? But that again was taking time for me because I had to really think about things. There was a point before that I even had to write like a quote here, and I had to, invest time looking up the quote every single day. And that's just not somewhere I wanted to spend my time in. So that's when I came to realization these are beautiful and I love them. But I felt my inserts, first of all, had the structure already. And I didn't need to keep recreating things all the time like I was doing in here. Oh, that's another journal entry. But as you can see, it's not a lot going on in here anymore. And that's when I made the decision, okay, what I've enjoyed the most of this planner has been the weekly hourlies, and I've been very true to this. So I started doing this for time blocking, and I really, really liked it. And in fact, I'll just kind of flip through the pages here. So you can see these are things that I was doing during these specific times. And I started to, by this time, transition and put everything in here where I was adding even trackers in here. And that's when I felt like, well, then I don't want to copy what I have here and put them in the beginning here either. And don't forget, I also had an insert. So you can see, back to what I originally said, it's just the same information written a bunch of different ways in different books. And while for me, I wanted to use all the books, it's just not something that was going to be sustainable for me personally. I guess my recommendation is, if you find yourself perhaps doing this, and if you like it, great. But if you start feeling like it's overwhelming, I think it's okay to take a step back. I stopped using the monthlies in here. I stopped using the dailies in here, and I'm perfectly fine with it. So at one point, you can see I was going all in with these trackers that I've shown before in another video on my Hobonichi cousin. When I started doing this, I had to let go of my Hobonichi weeks because that's where I saw most of the overlap. I had like a little reflection in Hobonichi weeks. I had trackers in my Hobonichi weeks. Guess what? Those things were coming in here as well. And that was just not serving me. And it was taking time away and having to recopy and make sure that things were exact. And I didn't want too many replicas. I really wanted something that was just there for me, simple and ready to go. I tried some weeks where I did do just a little reflection, but still did all my tasks there. So this is a nice kind of little flip for you. Here's where I went back. And in fact, I started to add even more trackers, but then I think I hit a little bit of burnout when I got to around this point with, they're beautiful. Like, I love these trackers and I love the way I created them. I had a mood tracker, a sleep tracker, for PR that I was doing, for habits like my AM prayer and PM prayer, my devotional, my journal, vitamins and collagen and movement and water. You can see all these items that I wrote here, and then my meals. But then I kind of it just felt it was just a lot to keep up with at night. That's when I would have time after the kids would go to sleep. I would sit down and look at my day, which is wonderful. But then I was so consumed with filling all of these out, and that when it was time to do like my daily planning, when I was doing the daily planning in here, it just became too much. Like, then I had to go and, like I said, write a gratitude, and there was a reflection right here, and there was some self-care I was doing, and all of these things served me. But right now I'm in a season where I really don't want to be held accountable too much to a planner, just for getting my to-dos and my appointments in. That's really what I want a planner to serve me. And I found that, I feel, in my ring planners that I have over here, that I will show that later on. But for now, I really want to just talk about this idea that it's okay to repurpose a planner. Here, I still kept doing it, and I loved it. I love the stickers, all the deco and everything. But by this time, this was now in March, the beginning of the month, I realized that I was drowning with the overlap. And I said, I need to just take a pause and let me see how I feel. And maybe that's something you could consider. Maybe it's just taking a pause and seeing, okay, let me see if I can do without it. So this week is when I experimented here. And I honestly, just what I was doing is reflecting on events. So for example, I had a meeting at 2:30, and I would talk about that, okay, about certain deadline that I had to do. So that's kind of what I did. But then afterwards, I felt like I was still doing the overlap, because I was not only writing here when a meeting was, or when I had to do a YouTube video or something, but then I was also writing it in my ring planner. The only difference between that is that I would just write like 3 p.m. YouTube video, but here I was writing a little reflection. So this is another option if you're looking at repurposing your cousin. And again, I know there are planners out there that only have the weekly, hourly, and an A5. And that is an option for me. I completely understand. But I'm at the point where I'm very committed. I'm actually very proud of the fact that I was able to stick through this for the whole entire those months of January, February, March, even though there, it changed a little. There were some different there was movement in this planner as far as like how I was using it, how I repurposed it. And then here's when I decided, let me take away the events, okay? And then afterwards, here's where I just wanted to be more free for me, but I was still kind of limiting myself a little bit with the journaling. The good thing was that I was able to journal now every single day and write something little. It was not intimidating. I made sure that I wasn't doing this here anymore. That's why I stopped using the daily pages. And I know I can use this for like just a notebook, which has been a consideration that I've had. Let me keep going to the next one because then you'll see how things start to change a little bit. Like here, I start to write a little bit more. Actually, in fact, this days when I wrote from top to bottom, because some of these days I just kind of went around there, and I didn't go from the top to the bottom. And it was really, I love this. I have found so much joy during this week. The 21st of March is when I felt like I can do this and go all in, meaning journal in here full time for only the weekly hourly pages. Okay. So then let me turn. This is this week when I am putting this out there. Here's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and this is Sunday. This is for tomorrow. Today's Saturday. So this was my journal entry for today. And I think this has worked out for me so well. Now the question becomes, do I want to continue it? It depends. I mean, it's nice for as far as keeping up with this in the sense that it's just one little blurb per day. And this is what I finally went from top to bottom, because sometimes I would, like I said, kind of skip around and things of that nature. But now this, I'm going from literally from top to bottom, filling the whole space up. I like it because like I can see my week all at once as far as and look at a reflection that I have. There's 0 plans in here except the reflection I do applies for something that happened on that particular day or something that's going to affect me. And I've found a lot of joy in this. I do feel sad that I'm not using it as I used to here, for example, but at the same time, this has been very therapeutic for me. I've been able to maintain the habit of journaling, and perhaps maybe when I am ready to move into a journal that's could be a potential full page, I will be ready then. But for now, I feel this is enough for me. This accommodates my time. Sometimes if 2 days go by, I can easily, write down 2 days without feeling overwhelmed. And it's just the right space. So back to other options that I'm aware of. In the A5 that has a weekly hourly like this, in a book bound, kind of with the same format, would be the Kimbor. Okay. That's another option that's out there. And I don't know if that's something I'd like to pursue in the future. For now, I'm very happy, and because I do have consistency, and that is one of the goals I had for myself in the beginning of the year, which was to be consistent in a planner. And I feel that although I tweaked the Hobonichi Cousin a lot, as I showed you, I was able to still have some kind of consistency in here, as far as, just staying in here and making it work, even though I repurposed it. So these are just some ideas for you. One, in case you're having challenges with the cousin and you're feeling overwhelmed. I do know friends that just walked away from it because it just got a little bit too much. Two, if this is going to be your one and only planner, then this is perfect. When I was using it as my one and only planner, is perfect, but I think it depends what kind of person you are. Like I said, with the book bound, I mentioned earlier some, I don't want to say disadvantages, but some things to consider that I found in the rings to have more flexibility. And I like the way I've been using my rings more than how things were going in the cousin for me. So I think all these things are going to be dependent on what your needs are, your season, of course, and kind of depends. If you are one planner girl, of course, then this would be perfect. Just have everything in here, your monthly, your weekly, and your daily. However, also aesthetics, because even now I still don't really like some of the red and everything. And that's the good thing when I have my inserts, they're totally white. Like I don't have to worry about any color anywhere or covering up the monthly view, for example. Like I have to cover that up, right? And so those are the things. And like I said, the cousin is amazing. I love the paper. I still think it's very portable because it's a nice book. It's very well thought out. And that's why, in a way, as I said, I don't want to let it go. But I do feel like the cousin is on a monthly lease, meaning I renew its lease every month. And I don't know how long that's going to happen. I think you should not feel any guilt letting something go if it really isn't serving you. But at the same time, if you feel that you have a goal to be consistent and staying in a planner, then that's something else to definitely consider, because that is kind of what's going on with me. I want to say at least I got through the first quarter, and I would love to get through the second quarter of the year, saying I was able to be consistent and to have a nice book to look back on. So that's something else. I didn't want to walk away from the cousin, and I can easily go still and fill in the monthly views if I really wanted to, right? That I stopped doing in March and April. I didn't fill it in even. So I can still come back to this and kind of back plan it if I really want to in those monthly views, just to write some dates down. But I'm at the point where I just don't really want to rewrite things. I just I need to clear my mind. I need to make some room for things that I really need to get done. But the summer is around the corner, and perhaps then I'll have the time to do more of those things, and or maybe just it'll naturally come perhaps. So I don't have any promises today of as far as I'm staying in the cousin. I'm going to stay by what I said, which is that it's on a monthly lease. Right now for April, the lease has been renewed. So for the month of April, I do plan to continue with the cousin, but in this type of format. Not to say maybe one day I'll wake up and say I miss planning in it, and I'll come back to something like this, because this was wonderful and I absolutely loved and enjoyed it. But it comes to the point where I wanted more flexibility. That's all it is. And I felt like the rings provided that for me, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. So okay, guys. So I didn't at first I did feel a little guilt as far as repurposing the cousin, but then afterwards when I tried it, I would suggest try it for a week. Just it won't do any harm. I did it. I tried it for a week over here. I did it even though it's still connected to times. And then even this, I was like, you know what? There's overlap. Let me try it this way. And then I said, you know what? This was great, but I think I could write a little more. And then I wrote a little more, and now this is where I'm at, top to bottom, and I'm really enjoying it. And that's why I said maybe perhaps the next step in the future, I don't know when the future that will be, but the next step one day might be just actually having a journal where I have everything written down. But of course, that would mean phasing out the cousin. But I don't know if I'm ready for that at this point. At this point, I'm very comfortable with just, one entry per day. I can see it all at once. I get to still sticker, and I'm having a lot of fun with that. I think when something stops being fun, then perhaps it's maybe just give it a break for a week. And if a week goes by, it doesn't call you, you don't feel the need to fill it up or anything, then it might be time to just kind of move on. I just don't think we need to have any kind of planner guilt from walking away. Not to say that you should be in a planner every week, just, but if you really want to, you can, of course, right? But all I'm saying is if you feel that a space is too cramped, or you're doing too much repetition, or maybe you're just not using the whole planner, because somebody can easily tell me and say, well, just let this guy go. You're not even using the daily pages. But I really have enjoyed this. And like I said, everyone has their own personal take on this. And for me, I really want to be consistent with it. And overall, I have found a lot of joy. But then again, like I said, not to be a contradiction on here, but like I said, it's on a monthly lease. And we will see what happens to it next week. But whatever I do decide, I don't want to feel guilt over the fact that I stayed or did not. Because at the end of the day, they're supposed to serve me, not me serve them. Okay, so this is the end of this video. It was definitely a little bit chatty. Thank you so much if you stuck around. My goal in the future would be to talk a little bit more of what's going on in my rings and how I set it up, as far as I know I've done some very very general kind of overview of what is going on in here. But I would like to film something that's going to be a little bit more in depth to just kind of give you an idea of how my routine goes now that I've been full-time planning in my rings. And it feels nice to say that all my plans are in here without feeling that then I have to rewrite things in the Hobonichi Cousin. And so, yeah. So thank you so much. If you are interested in continue watching more videos, please make sure to hit subscribe. And if you found any kind of enjoyment, or if you found some kind of entertainment in this video, don't forget to hit like. You can see how I'm doing things and some of my processes and everything over on Instagram at Dr_Alba_Plans. So definitely, if you have not been on my Instagram, check it out. And I'd love to chat with you here, over there on Instagram, whichever format you prefer. And it's been a pleasure, like always, sharing some of my thoughts and sharing my plans and how I'm using them. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate your time. Have a good day or evening.